call to order the meeting of the Federal Way School District Board of Education. Present this evening we have Director Wilson, Director Barney, myself, Director Griffin, Director Peterson, and Director Moore are not able to join us this evening. If you will please join me in the roll call by the color guard. The presentation of colors by the color guard.
Hold. Order. Colors. Left. Face. Carry. Colors. Present. Colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sherry, colors. Order. Colors. Right. Face. Forward. Colors. Forward. March.
I will look for an approval of the agenda.
Madam President, I move for approval of the agenda with one change, moving to item number 16, a decision from executive session.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing none. It's been approved. Looking for an approval of the consent agenda.
Madam Vice President, I move for approval of the consent agenda for June 11th as submitted.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
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 None opposed. It so carries. We will now move into student and staff recognition. Looks like we have a lot.
That's a good thing.
Good thing.
We got a house full.
Good evening, Vice President Griffin, members of the board, Mr. New. You are correct, Madam Vice President. There are a lot. And in order to facilitate that this evening, I'm going to be doing most of the announcing and talking about what we're doing so that we can not have people waiting too long. We know we have students that have to get back tonight. We have last week of school, and it's important to get home. So I'm going to be doing that a little bit like the board recognitions that we've been doing over the course of the spring. So here we go. Thank you. And I'll apologize in advance, students. Please bear with me with your names, and I'll apologize in advance should I butcher any of them too badly. So I'd like to start at this point, first with Miss Debbie Cook and her class of 25 students from Nautilus Elementary who won a Project Citizen Award, and they got a first place for the portfolio in Olympia. They received an overall rating of excellence, and their portfolio is going on to nationals, and it was on texting while driving, and apparently developing an app about that. So congratulations to them. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading. Thank you. Come on up. And again, Miss Cook. And I will read names as we come up. I'm not sure that everyone was able to make it, but I want to make sure everyone's recognized. So we have Eva Barnhurst, Alyssa Hulsey, Kyla Hulsey, Caitlin Lowe, Jillian Lusink, McKenna Togia, Zeri Warden, McKinley Wood, Gunnar Appleton, Quincy Jones, Sterling Pete, Samuel Umitan, Zeke Yee, Janice Barbosa, Mackie Bishfam, Grace Ellis, Simone Mercer, Bridget Woods, Carter Berry, Eric Chavez Alatorre, Javan Columbelli Silva, Joseph Haile Mariam, Elijah Jones, Michael Meisner, and Joseph Truss. Congratulations. Thank you.
You guys stay here. We're going to get a photo.
I'll get a photo right here.
Then we're going to fist bump.
No texting, however.
A lot of cameras back there. All right, turn on this fist bump. Congratulations. Oh, one more. Sorry. All right, fist bump.
All right, thank you.
Give me something. Good job. Proud of you guys. Look at you.
Thank you.
What grade you in? Fourth? Fifth? Fourth? So you guys are all fourth?
Thank you. All right. So they won first place for the binder and the board. So that we've seen all that. Thank you very much. And board members, do you want me to have you? Do you want to take a look at that?
Can
Is
we
that
take a
all?
look at it and get it back to you?
Yes,
That'd be
that's
great.
fine.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Ms. Erica.
Thanks, you guys.
And then they had an excellent standing for the presentations as well.
And an excellent standing for the presentations. Thank you very much. Fantastic. And parents and others, by the way, I know one thing I don't want to short you on at all is the ability to take pictures. So feel free when the time is right to stand up close enough to get a good picture. That's what we're here for. Thank you very much. Next, we have the Tom Murphy Award, and I believe Diana Gradden is going to help me present. Thanks, Diana. Tonight, this award. And Caitlin Remington. My apologies, Caitlin. Thank you. Who used to be Caitlin Murphy, by the way. So. And Ellie. Hi, Ellie. How are you? So this award is actually the Thomas Murphy Academic Inspirational Scholarship. It's sponsored by the Association of Federal Way School Principals, which is our principals group. And it celebrates the extraordinary academic accomplishment of a graduating senior from each of our high schools. And what we'll do is I think I'll just read the names and they'll come up and we'll go that route, I believe, as I call your name. So first is Michael Nickel from Decatur. Michael, are you here? Cool. Next, we have Christiana Morales from Federal Way High School. Thank you. Then from Taffa, Manpreet Bassi. And while he's coming forward, I would be remiss to not point out, thank you, Mr. Kazar, for being involved in the selection process and leading that. Thank you. Next is Lionel Estrada from Thomas Jefferson. Lionel. Next, from Todd Beamer, Nayeli Shigu. She's working, so we have Beamer administrators accepting. Thank you very much. And then from Truman, Trevor Jones. Trevor? Trevor obviously has a fan club as well, so that's good. I'm going to go and get pictures. Trevor, can you go right up this way? Thank you. Okay. All right, thank you. Next, we're moving into the Federal Way High School phase of the event. I'd like to start out by introducing our boys' single tennis state champion, Mr. Mitch Stewart, and Coach Collins. Mitch? Coach Collins, you have to come up here too. Thank you. And this deserves there's a special recognition, and we're going to kind of just skip into track a little bit on this one, because Mitch also placed 6th in the 1600 here on the west side in Tacoma, gets in the car, goes to the east side of the state, plays tennis, wins his 2nd state championship, and I think you were 2nd your first year, right? So darn close to 3rd in a row. He's the, again, 2-time 4A boys singles champ, state runner-up as a freshman, 3 SPSL titles, 3 West Central District titles. He is now combined 73-1 over his 3-year high school career, and he is the currently #1 ranked player in the nation for 16 years and under, and 14th ranked in 17 and under. So, my congratulations. And in a relatively rare feat, both the boys and girls state 4A track titles belong to the Federal Eagles this year. The boys had a record 90 points. May not know much about track scoring. That's a stupendous amount, to say the least. The girls did it right where they needed to, 1 by 1. That's all that counts. And my congratulations to both those teams. So there are a number of people and coaches that we're going to get up here at this point. So I think what I'll do is just let's have all the Federal Way athletes, coaches, and also Mr. Perez, assistant principal, AD, and Ms. Griebel, principal. Would you please come up and join them as well? Thank you. So we'll start. I'm going to go through the list here. I don't know if it's the best way to do this, but this is what we're going to do. So first of all, members of the team, the boys team are Zeke McNeil, Michael Tate, Tremaine Rambo, Mitch Stewart, Aaron Persinger, Jason Palmer, Jared Palou, Albert Havili, Matthias Forward, and Michael Tate. Oh, I think and let's see, we also have 2 first place winners that I want to highlight. So in the high jump, first, Tyson Penn, who won at 6'8" and is a freshman, I believe. Is that correct? That's a freshman, ties the freshman record, if I remember my statistics correctly. And then also in the triple jump, Keenan Curran won. So my congratulations. Before we go to our applause, let's read some coach names, and I hope that I've got this right in terms of who, but well, I think I can look at the line here. So we have our head coach is Sam Beasley, assistant coach John Marr, and before we move on, Sam is retiring this year after how many years now, Sam, with the total career?
30 years in the Federal School District, 44 years altogether.
44, yeah. I don't know how you could script a better ending than that. So my congratulations, Sam. Fantastic career. Thank you for everything. I had the pleasure of seeing Sam at the event earlier this year. We had the Coaches Hall of Fame here in Federal Way. By the way, you should all attend it. It's fantastic, and I'm always pumping people to get to that thing. So, and then along with that, then we have, I'm going to go ahead with the girls and then list the ratio coaches too. So that we get everybody in here, and then we'll get the girls up. So and do the introduction there. So Marcus Ezagari, head coach, Quinn Gillis, assistant coach, and then you guys, I hear it goes by Coach Wojo. So Coach Wojo, would you say your name for me, please?
It's like a house key with Woj on the front, so Wojciechowski.
Wojciechowski, easy money. Thank you very much. Okay. Beckett Cordes, Dirk Vanderholst, Mike Minahan, and Chris Williams. So there's our coaches. And the girls team, again, state champions. Mariah Vongsavang, who was the first place in the 100-meter hurdles. She also got 4th in the 300-meter hurdles. The 4x100 relay, Gabriella Palogi, Tamara Ritchie, Mariah again, and Karis Cameron were in that, and they were first. The 4x200 group is the exact same group, isn't it? Plus Audrey Shin is also in the group. And then I think I have everybody. Is that correct? Anybody I'm missing? So, again, my congratulations, Federal Eagles. Spectacular year. Enjoy it. Been there, done that. And the fame is very fleeting. So, thank you very much. Unless you have a long career, like coach. So thank you. Come on up front, please, and we're going to have pictures. Thank you. All right, how you doing?
All right. Good to see you. Hold your house. Congratulations. Proud of you guys.
Hey. Great job getting this. Yeah. All right, next we're moving into the TJ phase. And again, another state champion, this time Thomas Jefferson boys soccer. Talk about domination. This is the 8th win, I believe it is, and in 30 years. I know there may be some other teams out there in winning state titles at that clip, but it has been in sports that I do not believe it's only been 30 years. So that's an extraordinary percentage when you think about it. Dominated the playoffs. Very impressive season. So what I'd like to do maybe next is bring up coaches and players, and then I'll go through and read names as well. So come on up, guys. Thank you. Hey, how's it going? Well done. And I'd like to, if we could also have, is Principal Drake here? Will you please come up and join us? And Assistant Principal Athletic Director Ron Ness, please, also. Thank you. Okay, so here we go with the names, guys. And my apologies, I worked hard at these. Justin Yoon. Luis Roman. McKay Owsley. Jamie Prado Huerta. What'd I mess up? Hi, it is Jaime. See, I should have guessed that. My apologies. I apologize, Jaime. Jacob Greenwood. Vlad Zarenko. Bo Hepler. Nigel Hall. Luis Alvaro Osornio. Glenn Carpenter. Matthew Cruz. Isidro Prado Huerta. Thank you. Rodrigo Robles. Paul Andrew McClary. Tyler Hamashima. Jake Sullivan. Brandon Madsen. Garrett Dahl. Andrian Velgas. David Roman. Eduardo Quinteros. And Jalen Bond. Coaches, head coach Dave Hansen. Assistant coaches Kim Duke, Lennon Ramirez, and Chase Hansen. Thank you all for being here. Congratulations.
I want to recognize 3 other players that were part of this. Nikhil Solomonson, Quinn Landrum, and Hunter Bowman. They were part of our practice squad. And between those 3 guys coming out and helping us in training all year long, they missed 1 practice all year. So they were there from beginning to end.
All right. Cool. Congratulations. Amazing. Yeah. Come on out with pictures. Thank you. Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks for bearing with me. Whose name did I mess up? Congrats.
Graduation. Name calling there.
No.
World Cup fun. World Cup fun.
I'm ready.
Even closer.
Good night, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Who's graduating this year?
Just a few. You're getting back here.
Are you the only one graduating?
Next, I'd like to introduce the Director of Career and Technical Education, Nancy Hawkins, to help me out. Thank you, Nancy.
Hello, everyone. I'm really pleased to be here tonight to present to you state champions in 5 of our CTSO events, Career and Technical Student Organizations. If you'll indulge me, I'm going to read just a little brief paragraph about each one because we sort of all know what the soccer guys had to do to get here, but we don't necessarily know what some of these other events are about. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of background. First, could I please have up here by me the TJ Skills USA CSI state champions, Kyle Colston, Lionel Estrada, and Michael Jovanovic, and their instructor, Tom Decker. Would you all please come up here? This year was only the second year that Thomas Jefferson High School competed in the Skills USA Crime Scene Investigation Contest. Last year, one team qualified for state competition and they placed 3rd. This year, TJ was represented by 4 teams in the state championships. 2 teams placed in the top 3, earning a 3rd place finish, and also the 2013 state champions. Each team was presented a scenario and a crime scene to process. When they entered the crime scene, they were responsible for demonstrating crime scene photography techniques, as well as the ability to measure the room, evidence, and produce a scale diagram of the crime scene. When that process was finished, they documented all evidence, properly collected it, and removed the evidence. After removing the evidence, they processed items for fingerprints, lifted the prints, and transferred them to evidence cards. They also had to swab pieces of evidence for DNA. Doing all these tasks to demonstrate minimal contamination of evidence and thorough documentation of their work is not an easy task. In real life, law enforcement agencies have an unlimited amount of time to complete this work. The TJ team had to do this with a 1/2 hour time limit. Additionally, they were judged by 4 detectives while doing their work. Once finished, they had to prepare a briefing report. TJ produced the state championship team with the young men you see up here, and we're very proud of them and wish them well as they head to Kansas City to compete for the national championship. We'd like to also thank SRO Travis Tilford and the Federal Way Police Department for their mentorship and support, as well as Principal Liz Drake. Thank you very much. High school. Mostly juniors and seniors. And don't go too far. We're going to have a group picture, students and Tom. We're going to have a group picture after we're all done. Next is TJ Fbla Computer Applications State Champion Tiffany Liu and her instructor Bruce Case. Tiffany is a dedicated, hardworking student who spent a great deal of time preparing for her regional and state Fbla business events in computer applications and word processing. She finished 1st in computer applications and 4th in word processing at the Fbla State Conference. Each event had approximately the top 5 students in each Fbla region for the state competition, and there are 9 regions in Washington. The computer applications event consisted of 2 tests. The first part was a 2-hour application test including database, spreadsheet, charting, electronic presentation, and mail merge problems. How many of you all can do all that? The second part was a 1-hour theory test pertaining to these concepts. It takes a special skill set to be able to place in the top 5 in 2 events at state. Tiffany has worked hard to develop these skills. Let's recognize Tiffany. I also want to say that her instructor, Bruce Case, is retiring this year after a long and distinguished career. I said distinguished, Bruce. Did you hear that? Distinguished. How many years, Bruce? How many years?
29 in Federal Way School District.
29 in Federal Way, and how many in Oregon?
41 altogether.
41 altogether. Next we have TJ Skills USA CPR and First Aid State Champion Christina Plaksieva. I hope I said that right. And her instructor, Monica Wachi. Would you come up here, please? Christina has won several awards. She's won the Skills USA Regional Competition in CPR and First Aid, first place, Skills USA State Competition for CPR and First Aid, first place, and she qualified for Skills USA National Competition. She won the HOSA, Health Occupation Student Association State Competition in Nursing Assistant, first place, and qualified for HOSA National Competition. She is a Miss Washington Competition state finalist, and she is a 9-time Student of the Month. Christina quickly learned to manage her time, work in group situations under strict deadlines, and to recognize the importance of a strong work ethic, persistence, and intellectual integrity. She has long since become the most valuable member of the emergency response class and a role model for her newer classmates. Christina, congratulations. Next, we have Decatur Skills USA Automotive Service State Champion Matt Selsley and his instructor Luke Thompson. Will you come up, please? Matt Selsley won first place in the Automotive Service Competition for Skills USA Washington. Matt is a second-year advanced auto student at Decatur High School as well as a running start student. In addition to Decatur and Highline, Matt has worked a part-time job at A&M Automotive in Bellevue as an automotive diagnostic apprentice through the AES program. Matt has also earned his Eagle Scout Award this year with Troop 237. This fall, Matt plans to attend Universal Technical Institute, where he will study to become a master BMW technician through the BMW STEP program. Matt is dedicated to success, and we are all proud of his hard work and pursuit of excellence. Congratulations, Matt. Makes me want to run out and buy a BMW, don't you think? No, we have one more. Last but certainly not least, we have the Decatur Fbla Business Law State Champion Jordan Crahan, and his instructor is Leslie Nolasco. She couldn't be here tonight, so I asked Mr. Brower if he would come up and stand with Jordan. As a junior, Jordan was in the one-year business law course where he demonstrated his outstanding skills in speaking and debate. He was chosen by his classmates as the most effective attorney for his ever so eloquent opening and closing statements in the mock trials. This year, Jordan has been Decatur's senior class president and Fbla president. He did an excellent job in recruiting a strong member group and leading them by example. Along with initiating fundraising and service projects, he began regional competition in 5 events and placed in those 5 at state. He was a finalist in 3 events at state and qualified for nationals in 2, third place entrepreneurship team and first place business law. Jordan plans to go into business and practice law, and I think he already knows how to dress for it, don't you think? He will begin his studies as a Viking at Western Washington University this December. Congratulations and well done, Jordan.
Nice. Thank you.
Isn't that nice?
Thanks. Wonderful. What amazing.
David Brown feels so bad. Where's the super chat? Okay, now, oh,
You want the big
sorry.
picture, right?
Now a group shot. Big picture.
It's the paparazzi there, yes. Thank you so much. I will take a very brief minute to pat myself on the back and say that I did hire Mr. Decker probably a lot longer ago than we want to remember, huh?
8 years.
Oh, yeah, 8 years is right. So, thanks, Tommy. Okay, and last tonight we have honoring a group from the TAF Academy. Is anybody here from the TAF Academy? I don't know if we made that connection or not. Thank you. There we go. This is the Carbon Footprint app team. So you guys are on your way up, right? Thank you. There's Mr. Titler. I missed you earlier, Mr. Titler. Sorry. These students went to the Tomorrow Science Competition at Washington State University in Pullman in May. And they won 3rd place in the design category. Again, Carbon Footprint app team. And it's Prem Bassi, Jonathan Kook. Is that correct? Thank you. Miguel Rios, Dennis, Alikin. Is that correct? Alikin, thank you. And Larissa Ho are all the members. And I believe they won $500 each, if I'm not mistaken. And
They won, what was the award for first award? First, most likely to succeed in marketplace.
most likely to succeed in the marketplace, and $1,500 for TAF as well. So my congratulations. And Principal Paul Titler is here also. Thank you very much. So time for a picture. Mr. Tyler has just let me know they're sophomores, so I expect they'll be back next year, huh? And maybe the following year. So thank you again. We are finished. Thank you so much.
Okay, now we will move right into public comment. And we have Michael Ciesla or Mary Weir or Lauren McGowan. It might be Mikhail.
Oh, it's Michael.
It's Michael? Okay.
I wasn't sure who was going to give it, so I just put all of us.
Okay.
Had to be prepared. All right, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here for the launch of Fred. I'm going to talk a little bit about how United Way has been involved in the Summer Meals program and how excited we are for this particular program. So, let's see. All right. Well, in Federal Way itself, there are about 12,000 kids who rely on the free and reduced lunch program, but only 1 in 7 actually use the Summer Meals program, which is available. So that puts us near the bottom in our participation rate, about 40th out of 50 states. So clearly there are kids in the community who aren't getting all the nutrition that they need. They're facing hunger and they have a diet that maybe their family can afford but isn't very nutritious. So that's why we are launching the 1 Million Meals campaign. So this is going to hopefully give 1 million meals to kids by the end of 2014. So some of the obstacles that we've identified to getting summer meals to kids is access to sites, awareness of sites, availability, and activities at sites to engage kids, gets them excited about it. Some of the campaign tools that we're going to be using for this program are going to be doing some grants, so small grants to different sites, technical help, just getting the word out through canvassing, outreach. I'm sorry I put my presentation on, I'm not clicking through it, so I'm trying to keep up. But basically, we're going to be doing a lot to just spread the knowledge, spread the word about the program. So we're also going to have some signs on buses, the Summer Meals hotline, 1-888-84-FOOD-WA, or you can go to parenthelp123.com or .org to find the nearest site to you. But at the heart of the Million Meals campaign is going to be the campaign core. So 4 summer vistas are going to be in Federal Way, 1 on each Fred bus and 1 on the companion CIS van. And they're going to conduct outreach, distribute meals, get kids excited to be there. So this already passed, but I did have a slide about the importance of volunteering at Muled sites. We really do need people to sign up. Oh, here are some of the Fred sites, so definitely check those out. And coming up soon will be the non-Fred sites, the companion sites, which thanks to Multi-Service Center and to Communities and Schools Federal Way for working on those for us. But these are going to be also staffed by Vistas. And for volunteers, let me see if I can pull up the slide. All right, I can. For volunteers, please go to bit.ly/meals4kids FW, so Meals for Kids Federal Way, basically, and sign up because we would really love to have as much community involvement in this program as possible, or even more so, I should say, because thanks to Federal Way Public Schools and City of Federal Way, just everyone for being involved in this great program. The slideshow ended just in time, apparently, so thank you.
Thank you. And next we will have a presentation on Fred by Carol Matsui.
Good evening. I'll wait for my other amigas to join me up here. Our Fred friends.
Let's go, Diane.
Good evening, Vice President Griffin, Board of Directors, Superintendent New, and Deputy Davidson somewhere, and members of the audience. Thank you for this opportunity to bring Fred to you. Hopefully you had a chance to either see him or go inside and see the great things that we're going to be able to offer the 7 neighborhoods. I brought with me my other amigas and Jay Bennett from the city of Federal Way, and Mary will share more information about Fred as we move along our PowerPoint.
Our district has been operating summer meals at school sites since 1989. Our district has always linked our summer feeding to academic activities that will elevate children's education. And this summer we have the pleasure of supporting 47 different academic programs in our district, of which Fred is included. Summer meals are for all children and young adults up to age 19 years old. Unique to Fred, we are now able to go to children's homes using retrofitted retired school buses. The process of creating Fred has been a labor of love. It's been a joint effort by so many people and departments in our district and from our community. We have done things we've never done before. Interdepartmental cooperation has been heartwarming to see the collaboration, innovation, and problem solving, such as setting up a generator and battery bank, a process which involved IT department, technology, transportation, nutrition services, and maintenance. And when we couldn't find it, we made it. We couldn't find a chest refrigerator, and so we took old freezers and made refrigerators out of them. They look fabulous. We have a lot of people that worked on this, but we had some people that gave up weekends and evenings for quite a few days, maybe weeks. And I'd like to name those people. Mike Whitaker and Bob Amundsen from Nutrition Services. And I'll say the first names of the other staff, otherwise I might get something wrong. But Doug and Doug from Transportation, Mark from Maintenance, Darren from Maintenance, Igor from Maintenance, Jeff from Maintenance, Zale and Todd from Transportation, and Tom. We fabricated metalwork, cabinetry, steel support systems, wiring harnesses, and exhaust systems. We used depreciated or worn out district assets and made them look wonderful. And this started with the buses themselves. Our communications department developed a professional package to market Fred. They were the ones that named Fred. They developed the message of Fred. The superintendent's office made calls, put bags together for the kids, assembled materials. They were a liaison and did a tremendous amount of work to support Fred. And they were the ones that actually found the image of Fred that was turned into the graphic that you see that we have right now. IT developed and selected the Wi-Fi, the researched computer packages, business services took care of financial things that they always do, and security took pictures and helped arrange Fred going to destinations. Nutrition services obtained grants to operate to help fund Fred, visited labor and industries, the Department of Health, and we worked up a menu to serve not only cold food, but hot food too. And what we were interested in is how do we attract the maximum number of children? Outside agencies have given us superb service to convert a bus originally meant for student transport to a commercial coach and mobile food vending site. Our vendors have also given us top-notch service. Now that Fred is built, it can be maintained to give our children many years of service, not just summer feeding, but staff recruitment. Emergency use, such as during school closures or natural disasters. We have received support in the form of grants and donations and pledges for volunteer time. United Way of Seattle, King County, USDA Meals for Kids, Franciscan Foundation, Rotary of Federal Way, South King County Firefighters Foundation, and Lions Club have all donated funds. The City of Federal Way held an incredible number of meetings and organizational activities. Communities and schools has been involved, and the Multi-Service Center providing in-kind support. Examples of organizations that will visit Fred this summer include the United Way of Seattle and King County, includes Vista, AmeriCorps, King County Library, and City of Federal Way Police, and of course the firefighters from South King County. The ability of nutrition services to pay for the operation of the bus by summer meals makes this sustainable, because if we have kids eating, we have the bus there, and we can deliver the educational program, and it goes hand in hand. When we blend our meals with academic enrichment and growth, we truly nourish our children and serve our community, and we are very proud to have Fred.
Thank you, Mary. And I want to end by thanking all of these amigas in the back here, Mary Aswin, Cindy Wendland, Diane Turner, and I think Jay went back to his chair. Jay, will you stand up, please? What a super duper group to work with. This is a project that is not just the district or not just the city. This is a community wrapping their arms around a project that we know will benefit this year 7 large neighborhoods, and we are extremely proud to be able to bring him to Federal Way. Any questions?
I want to know where Fred 2 is.
Fred 2 was outside.
Oh.
That was Fred 2
That was
outside.
Fred 2,
Fred
so-
1 and 3 are having a facelift right now.
Oh, okay, okay.
So there will be 3
So they got
employees this
3 buses to go around the district?
We'll have 3 this year, and we're hoping to add more next summer.
Awesome.
I just think it's fabulous, and the fact that we're going to families and where children and families go instead of expecting them always to find us. And with a bus like that that enters any neighborhood or parking lot, for certain you're going to have people coming and wondering what's there. So I also just appreciate the work that went into it, because as we looked at it from the inside, it certainly doesn't look like a bus, an old school bus from the inside, and it's absolutely incredible. So I'm excited to hear back how the summer goes and how many meals we're able to provide for kids and opportunities as well. Thanks for all the work.
You mentioned that it's available, you said in school closures and emergencies. So is the Federal Way Emergency Management team aware of this and have it on their list of assets, if you will?
They are now.
Cool.
And I just want to keep the 4 of you camera-shy women up in front of the camera for a couple more minutes.
I don't think the glare and the people really focus our subtle shirts that we have on.
I want to thank you. What an incredible idea, Carol, and the work that the 3 of you, the 4 of you have done to put this on together. It obviously is going to serve a great need in the community this summer, and that's what we're all about. We often ask that our staff think out of the box. You did. In fact, you thought out of the bus on this one, and it's just I'm just so proud of you. Thankful for the idea, the concept, and the effort that it took, and the follow through that you guys did to make this a reality. It is just such a cool idea, and it's going to be great for kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have Dave Davis with a 2- and 4-year graduation report.
Superintendent New, Director Barney, Director Griffin, Director Wilson, staff, community members. 2 weeks ago at a board meeting, a member of the audience threw out a number regarding college graduation, and I was tasked to revisit that conversation and provide a little bit more context to what that was by President Moore. So I went onto the website, collegetracking.com, which actually was a very good website, and wanted to provide some context around our 2- and 4-year college graduation rate. Let me talk to you about how this data was arrived at by the Burt Group. I believe in the validity and reliability of the data. What you're looking at on the green line is the year that kids graduated from high school. Again, the year the kids graduated from high school. So as they roll into 2- and 4-year colleges, they are able to self-report, and there's some other ways that we are able to access the data of it, whether they graduate from 2- or 4-year college. And so the most recent data would be kids who graduated in 2008, because they would have graduated from a 4-year school in 2012. Make sense? Okay. And so we will get 2013 coming up. So what I wanted to do is provide, again, a little bit of context. The first line is the total Washington State graduates from a combination of 2- and 4-year colleges. The next line is Federal Way Public Schools, and then I did some comparisons to some neighboring districts, Tacoma, Auburn, and Highline Public Schools. And you can see there, on a regular basis, we outperform those districts in terms of total number of graduates from 2- or 4-year colleges. You will see a significant decrease in kids that graduated in 2000 and high school in 2008. I believe this is part of the Great Recession. Between 2008 and 2012, we're well aware of what happened economically across this country, but tuition also increased significantly in that time. And so it's just my own personal hypothesis, but it kind of makes sense to me in talking with some area directors and some college admissions folks. That's the next slide is the 4-year total. So the first slide is the sum total. Then I kind of went a little bit deeper. So this is the 4-year total. And you can see there's a pretty big drop-off between kids who graduated from high school in 2007 and those who graduated in 2008. A lot of kids take 4 or 5 years or 6 years to graduate from college as well. So the next year's data and the year after will probably rise from those kids who graduated in high school in 2008. But again, on a regular basis, we outperform not only the state of Washington in aggregate, but also our neighboring districts. And then the next one is the 2-year college graduation rate. One of my thoughts is that a couple of these districts also have, in the case of Auburn and Highline, have community colleges within their school district, right? Even though we have Running Start. Again, you can see on a regular basis we are at or above state levels and regularly outperform local districts. So again, I was responding to a prompt by the President Moore to make sure that I provide context for the data that was thrown out without citation. So, any questions?
You said the information of those that self-reported, or is this from?
The Burt Group does a research in relationship with the community colleges and the 4-year colleges as well as OSPI. There, in some, there's a plus or minus 3% range in their research, and the Burt Group is a good research organization that we actually have a relationship with.
So this kid's graduating from Washington schools or from all 4
all
years?
schools.
All 4-year universities?
That are reporting.
That are reporting the data. So there's a lot.
So it could be even higher, it could be even lower, but at the end of the day, it's apples to apples, if you will.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything? Claire? Anything? No? Okay. Thank you for getting that information for us and for providing the accurate citation. I am actually going to allow for 2 public comments that we seem to have missed. The first one is Gary Holliday. Nope. And Gary Robertson. Nope.
Mayor President Griffin, I believe Gary Holliday wanted to comment during public hearing for budget.
And Gary Robertson as well? Oh. Did you want to speak?
Yes, please. Before I start, I want to apologize. I didn't realize they changed the board meeting times. I thought they still started at 7 o'clock. Okay. Good evening, board members and Superintendent New. My name is Gary Robertson, and I have been a substitute paraeducator for the Federal Way School District for 15 years now. And I am here tonight because I'm a strong advocate for my fellow paraeducators, the schools they work at, and for the success of all of the students at all our schools. At the last board meeting, CFO Sandy McLean gave you the good news that our school district will have over $4.3 million that they didn't have last year, as the legislature is taking the Supreme Court's McCleary decision to fund basic education seriously. As a result, the school district has more money for special education and is proposing to add another 80 class at Valhalla Elementary School, eliminating student fees and paying for athletic transportation costs. This is all well and good. However, funding is a question of priorities, and I must ask you the $64,000 question, which is, what is your number one priority when it comes to school funding? And we're going to find that out in 2 weeks when you vote for the budget. But is it funding student fees and athletic transportation? Or is it funding programs that will ensure that our students are successful as they go through our education system? For me, it is the latter, and if you agree, as I hope you do, then I ask you to give serious consideration to my recommendation that your number one funding priority should be to restore the serious but regretful cuts you made in prior years when our budgets were leaner. The district took the first step when they proposed to restore some elementary school counselors and custodians, but the problem is they didn't go far enough. In addition to restoring those cuts, I ask you to seriously consider restoring the cuts you made a couple of years ago to paraeducators in AD classrooms, and before that, the cuts you made to librarians. These individuals are much more critical to the success of our students than restoring funding for student fees, athletic transportation, counselors, and custodians. When the district proposed cutting paraeducators to AD classrooms, I stood here to oppose that cut, and I gave you several good reasons why it was not a good move. In spite of that, you made the decision to make that cut. Now that we have additional money in our budget, it's time to start restoring those cuts, and that should be your number one priority. As a substitute paraeducator, I've worked in these positions, so I know how valuable they were to the ADK teachers and the students. The same is true for librarians. I've worked in school libraries, so I know what an important role they play in developing students' literary skills, which is so important to their success in middle and high school as well as college. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we will have Race to the Top District by Marie Bahar.
I always just teasing Marie. We put that on as a placeholder. We thought we were going to have an update for the board tonight, but we don't, as the progress that was anticipated at this point through the region has not occurred. But it is being made slowly, but we will be able to give a more thorough and accurate update in August.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Superintendent, you get to have some more comments.
Well, thank you, Madam Vice President, members of the board. We are 1 week away from the end of the school year, and we are a couple days away from our first graduation at Taft Academy. Well, their second, but our first of the year, Thursday night at Taft Academy. And then, of course, the other 5 high school celebrations or graduation ceremonies will take place at the Tacoma Dome on Saturday. So I would be remiss not to talk about the year in review tonight. I'm really proud. As I look at this list, and this certainly isn't a comprehensive list, but I think it's an appropriate time to take a notice of the celebration of the year that we've had here in the Federal Way School District. When you drop back to the beginning of the school year, you remember that we were involved in something at Federal Way High School called the We Day launch. And back then, nobody knew what We Day was. Very few people knew, if any, really knew who Free the Children was. And the fact that we were chosen to host that launch, the first in the United States, the co-sponsorship of Microsoft and the Seattle Seahawks, bringing that activity here, has propelled our students' awareness and activity in their service work. And of course, 1,400 of our students were able to participate in the event at Key Arena in March. And it was just one of the coolest, relationships that we've had, partnerships that we've had in my career, and look forward to many years of working with Free the Children and the We Day folks. And of course, that took us to the November election and the successful passage of the capital levy to rebuild Federal Way High School. And needless to say, that's a much needed levy that had to pass, and the excitement now generated getting ready to redesign a building that not only has to serve the students of a couple years from now, but well into the future, as many as 50, perhaps even 100 years down the road. And it's really exciting to begin those conversations, to be having those conversations about what education is going to look like. And then shortly after that, we were awarded the Race to the Top District Grant with our colleagues from the Roadmap region, Tukwila, Auburn, Kent, Highline, Seattle, and us, and whom? And did I say Auburn already? I didn't say Auburn. Renton, thank you. But I remember the day that the call came, and the $40 million that comes with that. None of us thought we were going to win it, but at the same time, we submitted the grant on the work that we're already doing. And the fact that that work has been recognized by the U.S. Department of Education in a competitive granting process speaks volumes to the work that's being done here in Federal Way, but certainly throughout the region with our colleagues. In addition, our academic acceleration has seen significant results in students' enrollment and participation in our most rigorous programs, and our academic gains, as cited by the College Board's AP Honor Roll, and our 38% increase in student aggregate test scores while increasing our student enrollment in the most rigorous programs. That also resulted in the Washington Post naming all 4 of our comprehensive high schools in the nation's top 9% and the top 30 in the state. At the same time, we saw an upward trend in our state testing results in math and reading at various grade levels, and a significant jump in our science scores at the elementary level. Later on in the year, we signed a series of MOUs, Memorandums of Understanding, with our friends from Korea and Vince Blauser and the work that we're doing with the Koreans. We have student teachers here now. We have a Saturday school program with the Koreans, and we also have students now gaining up to as many as 4 credits with the passage of a very rigorous topic test, which is the Korean language exam. At the same time, we are now in process of developing relationships or furthering our relationships with our sister schools from China and Australia, with more countries to come. And I'm just so proud of the many successes that our schools have enjoyed, including Taft Academy's Intel Schools Distinction Award, Taft and Woodmont being Washington Schools of Distinction, Lakeland Elementary's Award for Design Excellence, and of course the Sunnycrest Elementary Dual Language Program, which serves as a model as we begin to bring a second language into all of our elementary schools, as is our vision for our future. We've had a number of staff successes. We've had a Psychologist of the Year, National Communities and Schools Unsung Hero Award. We've had U.S. Department of Education Green School Award for the work that was going on at Camelot. And of course, Aaron Jones was our champion of change and recognized at the White House. And student success, way too many to list. You saw what tonight brought. And as I reflect back on the year, academic success, kids going on to the most rigorous colleges in the nation, athletic success. You saw tonight some of the accomplishments. A 6'8" freshman high jumper, which is just mind-boggling to me. But the list goes on and on of the state champions that have we've been able to recognize throughout the year. Our performing artists, our students have done amazing jobs in the arts area, and of course, we have been accused of not having career and technical education programs. I saw a whole lot of state champions and terrific awards being distributed tonight to career and technical education students. And to top it off, we are not looking at a budget cut this year. And so as I look back on this year, I think it's been for me personally, it's been one of the most, if not the most enjoyable year I've had in all the years that I've been in education. And it's just been fun to serve this board, this community, to work with the team that I get to work with every day, and to celebrate these many successes, and to look back on a year that I think has just been an absolutely phenomenal year. And I want to thank our staff, our teachers, our paras, our principals, all the folks, our bus drivers, our custodians, all the folks that work so hard to make sure that our kids' needs are being met every day and that they are ensuring their academic as well as their whole being success. Our parents for selecting Federal Way Public Schools as their education provider, and the community for the support that they've shown. So with that, that's my report for the night. Congratulations on a fantastic 2012-2013 school year.
Thank you. Okay, school board members can comment as well. Would you like to start, Mr. Barney?
How can you top that?
That's why I started with you.
I mean, there's not much more else to say. I'll just add one other note to our middle school track program. I had a chance to go over to the championship meet last week, and Illahee is our district champs once again. Surprise. But it was a fun evening. In fact, Sam Beasley was there as the director for the entire event, so it was a good time. I don't know how much more else I can say. He took it all.
I don't have a lot to say. I'm really excited about Fred. I'm excited about the opportunity that's going to bring to children and families in our community this summer. And read, because that's what's going to help us succeed. And then I guess the only thing else I'm hoping is that we get a budget. And that legislatively, although we are, it looks like going into a special session, that we'll be able to get some things figured out before too long, so we can get things figured out before too long. So June 30th comes quickly, July 1 starts, and we don't have a lot of time before school begins again. So I'm just going to send my messages to my legislators, as I hope you all will too, to seriously come up with some kind of decision in the near future so we can move forward with our work.
Yes, I don't have a whole lot to add. I will expand a little bit on the increase and recognition of our parents in this school district. Parent engagement is flourishing. We're hearing great things from our parents as to their commitment to supporting the education system, as well as participating alongside their students and teachers and the administration. There was a group of parents that received a Parent Leadership Award last week. I was one of them, for participating in our school district and supporting our students towards academic success. So I will add that component as well, and that's it. And next, I will have us recess to an official public hearing for the 2013-2014 budget.
Good evening, Vice President Griffin, members of the board, Deputy Superintendent Davidson, Superintendent New, staff, parents, community members. It's my pleasure this evening to share with you an update around budget planning for our first public hearing. Again, under state law, you're only required to hold one public hearing prior to adopting budgets. Federal Way has a long-standing process of conducting 2 public hearings. The focus of my conversation this evening will be to give you an update on the state legislative status, if you haven't already looked that up yourself, a brief review of the superintendent's recommendation, and your first presentation of the 4 other funds that you will also adopt budgets for: the Transportation Vehicle Fund, the Associated Student Body Fund, the Debt Service Fund, and capital projects. And you should actually have 3 documents at your tables related to tonight's conversation. There is a copy of the PowerPoint. There is some more detailed financial information related to the other funds that I summarized in the PowerPoint this evening. And as board members and superintendent, you have the constitutional changes that have been submitted for the 4 schools seeking constitutional amendments for their ASB funds tonight. So when I wrote this afternoon, The first special session was scheduled to end at midnight tonight. It appears that the House and Senate have actually already adjourned today. The Senate's website indicates that they will reconvene tomorrow at 9 a.m. So it was widely speculated that a second special session will start tomorrow. That has now been confirmed. June 30th is the end of this state's current biennial budget, as Director Wilson pointed out. As of July 1st, if there's no state budget adopted, there is no authority for the state to spend funds. So we find ourselves in this interesting dilemma where we are planning for a McCleary down payment for 2013-14, but without a state budget adopted, we will actually need to begin to borrow money effective August 1st in order to meet our 2012-13 obligations, because our fiscal year runs until August 31st, 2 months after the state's biennial budget closes. So, make your phone calls. State can't really run without a budget. As a reminder, as we talk about implementing McCleary, we have 3 major guiding principles. We are looking at trying to find ways to provide relief to taxpayers and parents. For our employees who have hung with us through the last several tough years, we are trying to regain our momentum towards moving towards market midpoint compensation. And of course, our favorite phrase is that any and all restorations or enhancements must be affordable and sustainable. That's not really specific to McCleary. That's been part of the district's guiding principles around budget development for more than a decade now. Real quickly, what we're assuming, because again, for the general fund, with the superintendent's recommendation, all budgets are based on a set of assumptions. Even without a final state budget, we still have put together a plan for 2013-14, because while the legislature hasn't finished their work, we still need to move forward with what we think is reasonable. So we're expecting a down payment on McCleary of roughly $4.3 million. We're anticipating some race to the top funding and a restoration of the Internet Academy funding. So our total anticipated revenue increase is about $4.7 million. I want to remind people that this is about 50% of the I-728 funding, and it represents about less than 20% of the total $30 million we have cut over the last several years. So yes, we're celebrating that we're looking at adding money, not cutting money, but we're still far from being whole. When we talk about the affordable and sustainable restorations, it is true that the pieces that have been restored first parallel the superintendent's recommendation from 2 years ago, the elementary counselor dean positions, the custodial reductions, and the secondary leadership stipends, along with an adjustment to the high school staffing ratios. We know when we look at affordable and sustainable expansions, the way we're talking about eliminating most fees in athletic transportation is we're getting $910,000. We're expecting to receive $910,000 in local effort assistance, and that will be used to eliminate fees in athletic transportation. We know we have a retirement rate increase of about 2.25% slated for all employees, which will cost us from an unfunded basis of about $1.7 million. And we're looking to sustain the International Academy, which is a credit retrieval program for our English language learners, expanding Check and Connect, supporting Gateway to College, supporting the Global Learning Initiative, expanding our early learning work, and supporting an AmeriCorps expansion. Page 2 of what we're summarizing, whipping through here, is some support for Common Core state standards as we look at implementing those Common Core state standards next year in math and English language arts. Looking to continue to support our College Board and Smarter Balance assessments. We have the new teacher principal evaluation program being implemented for the first time next year. We were invited to join the Nationwide Minority Student Achievement Network. We are expanding our family liaisons. We are adding full-day kindergarten at Valhalla, which is the next eligible school. In terms of state funding, we're looking at the middle years program expansion to support 8th graders at Kylo and 9th graders at Todd Beamer. And we're looking at some special education staffing adjustments to meet changing population needs. Wrapping this up here, we are looking at some CTE department support. As you know, we have election costs every time we run a board election or an EP&O election costs. We've added $125,000 to that total budget. Our maintenance and grounds folks have hung on through all kinds of difficulties with a pretty lean budget to support the needs of our buildings. We're adding, since one of the expected increases is in material supplies and operating costs, we're adding $400,000 to that budget. And we have $500,000 targeted for fuel, insurance, and other inflationary pressures. Kind of a downward item in all of this is as we look at a downward enrollment trend, we've made adjustments to staffing for next year to reflect the fact that we anticipate serving 300 fewer FTE. For all intents and purposes, those certificated staffing adjustments were done through attrition and without needing to do any involuntary transfers. So again, the superintendent's recommendation has a total expenditure increase of about $5 million at this point. It means that our expenditures are slightly over the expected revenues, but as we all know, because we've all said this a bunch of times, we don't have a final budget, and I would expect when we see that final budget that this bottom line will improve. You had fund balance recommendations for the general fund that are outlined in the Executive Limitation 7. And again, I commit to you that given our conservative budgeting practices, we will continue to be in compliance with our requirements for 3 to 5% in expenditures in committed to minimum fund balance. Any questions about the general fund superintendent's recommendation before I move into other funds? Okay. So the first fund, I know typically Fred was bright green, but typically your school buses are yellow. So for the Transportation Vehicle Fund, the only revenue source we have for the Transportation Vehicle Fund is something called state depreciation. So out of our 142 buses, about 91 of those receive state depreciation. And we get bits of money for each of those buses every year, and it's that money that the Director of Transportation, Cindy Wendland, uses to keep our fleet in great shape. So the average age of our bus fleet continues to be 10 years old, same as last year. The average age of the bus was purchased in 2003. The oldest bus we have on the road right now is a 1989 bus. Last year it was a 1987 bus. So we continue to have good health in our Transportation Vehicle Fund. One of the things that the legislature did last year is change the timing of when we get state depreciation funds. So for all intents and purposes this year, we've gone all year without seeing revenue. Gee, and if we don't have a state budget on, so yeah. So technically we're supposed to get the state revenue for this year in August, which would bump our budgeted beginning fund balance to $1.2 million. We anticipate state depreciation and interest earnings of roughly $612,000, and the current plans for purchasing new buses, 2 transit buses, they're $130,000 a piece. Those are your big buses. 4 small buses for a total of $228,000, and 3 buses that are wheelchair accessible for a total of $285,000. We typically add some spending capacity to this budget because remember, when you adopt a budget, you're setting an appropriation level or a maximum expenditure level. And we always, if we have the funds available, want to make sure that we have the opportunity to respond to any emergencies that might arise. So we set spending capacity at $232,000. We have historically budgeted this fund balance down to 0, but you'll see now that we've budgeted with a fund balance of $609,000, or what we're estimating to get in state depreciation funds 14 months from now. We feel like that's a conservative way to approach this since that cash flow's been pushed out for us such a long ways into the future. Associated student body funds are funds and activities that are run by the students. They support extracurricular, recreational, cultural, and social activities. In our middle schools and high schools, or in grades 6 through 12, that work is governed by a constitution, and the students, you have those constitutional changes in front of you. So Holly's constitutional change is substantial. It's virtually 100% rewrite of their constitution. So you have a red line copy of that. It does a lot of work around clarifying roles, attendance, membership, and application and removal of officers. Sequoia has some minor changes, mostly related to grammar and spelling. Totems, students wanted the Constitution modified so that the removal of officers was an administrative function, not a student function. And Todd Beamer High School has some minor changes, and then they rewrote Article 5. So again, you can, I know you're just getting that information for the first time tonight, so please take that and read that, and if you have any questions, let me know. In terms of the budget itself, obviously the revenue in ASB is generated by fees and fundraisers. So when we talk about the fact that we're waiving fees, we're only talking about fees in the general fund. We're not talking about fees in the ASB fund. So we're talking about general fund fees for participating in CTE classes or renting musical instruments. When you adopt the budget, currently still slated for June 25th, you will be actually adopting the slate of fundraisers, which is a compilation for elementary and secondary schools, and you have that list on your board table tonight, and you'll be setting the expenditure capacity. For the ASB for 2013-14, we'll be asking you to set an expenditure capacity of $3,624,000. This is a lower expenditure capacity number than you have approved in the past, and that's a reflection of some more realistic budgeting on the part of our individual ASBs, and also a reflection of the fact that fundraising is getting harder and harder for our students to do. The debt service fund is another fund that you have an opportunity to adopt a budget for. This fund collects tax revenues and it redeems bonds for previously and newly authorized bonds. It's a fiscal year budget with a calendar year levy. I love all the disconnects. So we build a fiscal year budget, but the levies are a calendar year levy. Again, I'm assuming no additional voter authorized bond sales in terms of new bond sales during the 13-14 school year. Remember, we have just about $12 million remaining in the 2007 bond authorization to be sold to offset the cost of rebuilding Federal Way High School. We won't be looking at selling that until our construction costs are ramping up and we need that revenue. We continue to monitor the bond market to look for opportunities to refund any outstanding bonds as a way to continue to save our taxpayers' funding. This is a bit of new information that maybe people haven't really thought about. One of the bond issues that we sold in January of 2006, we sold under a concept called Build America bonds, which was part of the economic stimulus package. So these bonds, usually when we sell our bonds, we sell them as tax-exempt bonds. We sold these as taxable bonds because the federal government made a commitment to rebate 33% of that interest payment. Unfortunately, that federal rebate on those interest payments is subject to federal sequestration. So our June rebate was $35,000 less than what we had budgeted. So that will continue to have an impact on us until we can refinance these bonds or Congress does take some action around sequestration. Again, in the debt service fund, what we'll be asking you to authorize is a total expenditure budget of just slightly less than $19 million at $18,990,000. And you'll notice that our budgeted ending fund balance at $5,775,000 has dropped dramatically over the last few years because we have continued to utilize fund balance to help roll back our impacts on our taxpayers. At this point in time, I'm not anticipating being able to offer you a rollback for the 2014 debt service levy unless we're able to find a great refunding deal between now and November when you have to do that. Questions about debt service? Okay, the last fund is capital projects. There are lots of different buckets of money in capital projects that we have to account for within the capital projects fund. We know the $149 million bonds that were authorized in 2007 that rebuilt the 4 elementary schools, Lakota Middle School, and the Support Service Center, that activity is virtually complete. And out of that $149 million, we have approximately $12 million that is not yet sold and set aside for Federal Way High School. You saw that also in the debt service side. The state match funding that was generated out of that 2007 bond issue is just about wrapped up. I had the opportunity to meet with the Director of Facilities, Rod Leland, and the Director of Maintenance, Sid White, today to go through the state match projects that we have working that will be underway this summer. Again, we have $10 million of that money set aside for the rebuilding of Federal Way High School. As we look at adopting the 2013-14 budget, that is the first full year of spending for Federal Way High School, playgrounds, and the security, and I'll call a couple of those things out. Calendar year 2014 is the 4th year of the 6-year technology levy and includes voter authorization of $4.4 million, the same as 2013. We continue to have a land fund shortfall, although we're hopeful that at least one of these 2 properties will close during the 2013-14 school year. And on a good news note, because you've seen some red numbers in impact fees, we're now seeing impact fee collections covering the costs of the purchase of the Norman Center. Okay, the next slide's really messy. I mean, it's busy. It's not messy. It's busy. And if you look to the bottom of the expenditure column, you'll see $14.5 million. That is the, when you adopt the budget, we'll be planning to spend $14.5 million in the capital projects fund during the school year of 2013-14. So one of the things that's always important to remember about capital projects is projects span multiple fiscal years. So we track a project budget, and you can see the project budget in this document, so you can see what's remaining. But here we have to build budget capacity to respond to the individual projects as we have them listed. So we know already, if you drop down to the middle, that we're doing 3 playgrounds this summer. So we had $2 million set aside for playgrounds. We expect we're going to spend about $300,000 of it. Next summer, we're not slated to spend quite $300,000, but again, you always want a little more expenditure capacity than what you plan to spend. Security cameras may or may not be completely installed by the end of next year, but I'm planning for that. In the event that we're able to do that in a single year, we'll be able to move forward with that. We always anticipate that Director Ron Mayberry and his staff will spend all of their tech levy and E-rate money within the fiscal year. Again, the state match has $10 million left in it. Bond projects are anticipated to have $1.6 million left, and that's money we need to keep in order to continue to make our land payments, because we borrowed money for the 20 acres that the Support Service Center sits on, and that's being repaid through those bond proceeds. So for all intents and purposes, the amount of the bonds that we've already sold will be fully expended by the end of next year. Federal Way High School, of course, will be collecting the second half of the 2013 collection and the first half of the 2014 collection, so roughly $10 million. We know we'll start doing some work on Federal Way High School next year, but we expect these funds to accumulate before we start doing a lot of construction. Any specific questions about all of this? Because it's a lot.
How long are we slated to pay that land fund?
I think the last payment is in 2016. Okay. The Norman Center payments continue through June 1st of 2020, and the Service Center continues through June 1st of 2017.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're closing in on it. When we have our second public hearing in June, still currently scheduled for June 25th, you'll have the opportunity to make a motion to adopt the ASB constitutional changes, to make a motion to accept the slate of ASB fundraisers, to adopt a resolution establishing appropriations for all 5 funds, and to set the preliminary tax levies for the calendar year 2014. So we'll talk about that more at the next public hearing. At this point in time, this is your opportunity to call for any additional public comment or to ask me any additional questions about the materials I've presented this evening.
Any questions or comments, board members? No? We do have a public hearing, public comment from Gary Holliday. No?
He may not be planning on coming back till 8 o'clock.
Okay. Well, when he returns, then we'll allow him to speak if we're still in session.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Superintendent, any comments, questions?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We will re-adjourn to our regular board meeting. And we have an addition to the agenda. We're looking for a motion from our executive session earlier.
Yes, Madam Vice President, I move that the board approve the collective bargaining agreement by and between the Board of Education, the Federal Way Public Schools, and the Association of Federal Way School Principals effective July 1, 2013 through June 30th of 2015.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments, board members?
Nope.
No, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And none approved. It so moves. For board members, we can assess the meeting now. And Chris, do we have any action items?
No action items.
No action items. Superintendent, do you have any last questions, comments?
I do. I should have thanked Sally during her after her budget presentation. As you can see, it's a very complex and complicated process, and the work that she does. Thank you, Sally, for your continued budgetary excellence and fiscal management. I want to say farewell to 3 good friends who have served the school district for a long time. We will be soon saying goodbye into happy retirement. Mr. Rod Leland, Ms. Diane Turner, and where's our third one? Mr. Chuck Christensen. There he is, hiding over there behind the monitor. I want to thank all 3 of you for your wonderful service to the district, and don't be surprised if I ask you to come back and help us out a little bit. Congratulations and thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and this meeting is adjourned.